Right, enough already. Goodness gracious. Welcome. Thanks for joining me once again, where people continue to be wrong on the interwebs, don't they? Without let or hindrance. It's incredible. Michael Wiener Savage. You can't make this stuff up, boys and girls. But Michael Wiener Savage does make quite a few things up, it seems. Like his competence to profess on any aspect of the epistemology of science as that relates to health or nutrition. Yesterday, you might remember, those of you who were here, I did a response to another Michael Wiener video, and it was really quite clear the level of this particular charlatan's incompetence. So if you'd like to enjoy that, you can enjoy that too after this if you haven't already done so yesterday. Today, I shall be mostly wearing this fluffy house coat. And mostly because I couldn't be asked getting dressed before starting this at, it's after 9 in the morning, goodness gracious. Well, we gentlemen farmers get to do these kind of things from time to time. For once, there isn't mayhem and destruction over a wide area occurring. And so today I have some time to sit with you and we can go through what Michael Wiener Savage has to say about the carnivore diet in this video, because he's not done yet, apparently. That's what you find with incompetent buffoons, incompetent charlatans like this clown here. They're never done. They're never finished. There's always more to say, but the more that they have to say is the same thing they've already said. What you're going to say, oh, look, I haven't watched this through. That's the first caveat. As usual, I have not watched this through. I do not know what he's going to say, but I know exactly what he's going to say, if you know what I mean. What you're going to hear is appeal to authority fallacy, appeal to consensus fallacy, personal incredulity fallacy, begging the question fallacy, at least. And probably a bunch of other fallacies as well, which we may or may not identify as we go along. Mark, how are you, mate? Good to see you in the chat as usual. Who else is in the chat? Let's go back to the beginning. Who was first? The millionth minion was first from Germany. Good to see you. Hello, Germany. Yes, indeed. Hello, Germany. This will be Savage. No, more like a Wiener insertion. Yes, Michael Savage will destroy me. No. Either you're an idiot or you're very, very bad at sarcasm. I don't know which it is. I don't really care either. Michael Savage Wiener, the arch defender of gluten, is doubling down on this. Oh, well, yes. You know, that's what you get with these kind of buffoons, these kind of idiots. They do double down on their nonsense because their ego won't allow them to not. So there we go. More Wikipedia reading, probably. Yes, he needs to go back to school. Well, what he actually probably needs to do is shut down his ridiculous social media offerings, keep his ridiculous, ill-educated, nonsensical opinions to himself, basically. Dry up and blow away is my advice, but that's for another day. Spain is in the house. Good to see. Yes, Savage is coming for you. Good. Let him come. He will not get anywhere near me on anything to do with science, health, nutrition, the epistemology, the understandings of anything. This clown is a clown. This is a bloke with absolutely no credibility and no understanding of even the basic tenets of human physiology, human nutritional requirements, let alone the epistemology of science and how that's conducted, as you will see once again today, once we get started on this. So let's go with the caveats. You've already had the first one. I have not watched this through, but I already know what he's going to say. I will pause often when he says things that I believe to be in error, and I will give you my reasoning for why what I believe he has said was in error is in error. So if you don't like that, if you don't like pausing someone else's video to get somebody else's opinion on it, you're in the wrong place. That's what we do here. The other thing we do here often is we use short words, including the ones referring to next Tuesday often. If you don't like that word or any of those short words, you're in the wrong place. Sorry about that. I'm not going to modify what I do to suit everybody because that's impossible. I have a cult audience that enjoy what I do and the way in which I do it. And that's the tune I'm playing today. If you like other tunes, the professional collar and tie, professorial, no calling anybody anything to do with next Tuesday stuff, you can go and join my other channel if you like, where I do just that. It's linked underneath every one of my pre-recorded videos on my channel, not the live ones I'm doing here, but you'll find it. Yeah, if you do a search for it, you'll find it. And yeah, I'll start posting a few more things up there. Also coming up is my brand new educational course for people about how to critically read research literature, specifically in the field of human nutrition science, human health science, that kind of stuff. So that when an idiot like Savage waves a paper in front of you, if he's even going to do that, you can say, here's why you're an idiot, Savage. Wiener, I mean. Wiener Savage. And you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and dismiss the nonsense that they put in front of you, because all of this stuff which purports to be human health science, human nutritional science, is anything but science. It's all nonsense. None of it meets the standards of a disciplined, rigorous investigation of cause nor effect at all. So that course is coming up on my Patreon membership tiers. You just need to be a member at the $10 US a month or above. It's called the Seekers of Knowledge or whatever. You can also join a discussion tier if you want to. And in the discussion tiers, you get an hour twice a month, face-to-face with me on Zoom, private discussion. You and I can talk about anything you like. Pretty much. That's your coin. So there's that. How do you access that? At the one-stop shop link, which is wending its way across the bottom of the screen right now in that direction, on the yellow ticker tape there. It's the bit.ly address that you see down there. That's where you go for all things Bart, including the Patreon memberships. You can also buy Cerule products, and I absolutely warmly recommend that you do. That's basically an adult stem cell enhancing supplement, if you like. It's not a nutritional supplement, it's a nutraceutical. You don't need nutritional supplements on a carnivore diet, but everybody, whether you're on a carnivore diet or not, could benefit from extra circulating adult stem cells, less inflammation and better blood flow, which is what these 3 products from the Cerule company do. You can access them through that same link down there as well if you want. I suggest you get them together in a wellness pack. That way you get an 18 to 20% price break, because you get a price break on the products and they won't charge you for shipping. If, on the other hand, you think those products are a good idea, which you should, because they are, but you don't want to pay for them, send me an email to my email address, which you'll find on the About tab on my Fine YouTube channel. And I'll tell you how that's done. That's very simple too. A dog with a note in its mouth could do it. Anyway, speaking about dogs with notes in their mouths, let's hear about what Michael Savage feels. Let's hear about Michael Savage's feels. Oh, by the way, yesterday I was referring to Michael Savage as someone who sounds like a left-wing lunatic. To which a lot of you jumped all over me and said, he's not left-wing, he's right-wing, he's conservative, all of this. Folks, if it waddles like a duck and it quacks like a duck, there's a high likelihood it's a duck, all right? I said he sounds like a left-wing lunatic. How he actually identifies is neither here nor there. I don't give a rip-roaring shit whether he identifies as man, woman, duck-billed platypus, or super stupid shade of the colour turd. Wiener. Or something. It doesn't matter. He sounds like a left-wing lunatic, is what I said, because to me, he does. Anyway, let's hear about it, Michael Wiener. And yeah, I cannot win versus him. Yes, I can. Yes, I can, and I will. And I'll do it right now. I'd even happily do it to his face too, so long as it's hosted either on my channel or on a neutral channel, because I've seen the way he behaves on his own channel, and that's not going to be an acceptable format for it. But I would happily tear this boy 7 new arseholes to his face anytime he likes, because basically he's incompetent as a scientist, and his protestations of being competent as a scientist are false, demonstrably and clearly, as I'm about to demonstrate clearly. So here we go, Michael.
The TV show, which you'll see if you subscribe to Newsmax TV Sunday night. I'm taking you behind the scenes. I'm doing it here tonight. So here's the new introduction to the entire show on the carnivore diet. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Savage Nation. Today,
You mean the Wiener Nation?
want to talk about the intersection between food and health and political agendas.
Right.
I've been reading a lot this week about RFK Jr. and Trump's controversial plan.
Apparently, I'm told that one of Michael Wiener's problems is Trump derangement syndrome, which is quite widespread, I'm told. Also, perhaps he's got his nose out of joint because RFK got the nod and he didn't. Don't know. Those are just speculations that some people have thrown at me in the emails overnight. I don't care either way. It's just interesting.
To issue new dietary guidelines that urge people to eat more saturated fat in their diet. Now, this guidance is alarming to some experts.
Expert, you say, and some experts. Okay, so what you're saying there straight away is that you're admitting that there is equivocality out there, i.e. this isn't an open and closed case. Your opinion is not necessarily better than anybody else's. As it turns out, it's inferior, Michael, clearly, because it does not show the disciplines of science or understanding of how science is conducted and what its capacities and foibles, flaws and faults are, its limitations, if you like. So, there is that. And also, let's just have a think about what is an expert exactly. Because you're not one, Michael. In fact, you're not an expert's asshole, remotely, as I showed yesterday, and as I'll show again today. X is either an unknown quantity or somebody that used to be something that isn't that thing anymore. And spurt is a drip under pressure, Michael. Okay, so experts, you say. I actually don't give a two rip-roaring fucks what any expert has to say. What interests me is what is empirically establishable using well-disciplined, properly collected empirical data sets, Michael. I have no interest in anybody's opinion whether they claim to be an expert or not. How's that?
Because it contradicts what established scientists and nutritionists have been saying for decades.
Well, so what? Science cares not one jot for reputations, for the level of establishment of any given member of the scientific fraternity, for want of a better word, nor anyone's position, station, or status as actually earned or as given to them by imbeciles like you, Michael. So what? Once again, science, cause and effect, risk and hazard are all litigatable empirically. Okay, not with opinions. Opinions, Michael, as I said yesterday, being just like anal orifice, and that most people have them, and they're full of shit. And your opinions, Michael, are chock full to the gunnels of shit. Excremental garbage, Michael.
According to various articles.
Which articles, Michael?
I have one from The Guardian, one from the New York Post. They're very good articles. They're well written.
Well, that's an opinion, Michael. And articles are not peer-reviewed research data sets, are they?
RFK Jr. is basing this new guideline on the research done by Ronald Krauss.
Has he said that? Or are you saying that some articles are saying that that's what's happening? Did RFK Jr. make that statement, Michael? I don't know if he did or not, and I don't really care anyway because it doesn't matter.
A professor of pediatrics and medicine at the University of California, San Francisco, who has researched saturated fats extensively and found that saturated fats may be less harmful than previously thought.
Okay, so there's a couple of problems with that statement there, aren't there? Number one, the statement that this guy has researched saturated fats extensively, well, as that relates to hard health outcomes in human beings under appropriate control for any period of time, no, he hasn't, Michael, because nobody has. You cannot do that kind of work. Ethics committees are dead set against that kind of thing. Ergo, what he's done is pontificated and speculated to a large degree, perhaps using reductionist techniques as far as I'm aware, or perhaps using completely inappropriate animal models, Michael. What he has not done is looked at, experimented upon the effects of saturated fat on human health outcomes over any period of time? No, he hasn't. So that's the first problem. Secondly, the statement maybe, well, that leaves maybe not two entirely on the table, doesn't it, Michael? Maybe. Okay, so that's not a statement that's worth hearing from you or anybody else. Less harmful, well, that's begging the question fallacy. Because there is no evidence extant anywhere in the literature, anywhere on this planet, to establish cause and effect that saturated fat is indeed harmful. In fact, there's not even any decent evidence to suggest that it's even associated with harm. There are 5 major meta-analyses available, prospective cohort studies with respondent data issues, of course, but these are studies with multi-million person years of follow-up, all 5 of them, and all 5 agree that there is no meaningful difference in outcomes as reported, let alone a cause and effect relationship. So not only is there no cause and effect established, there's not even a decent, meaningful, or at all useful correlation that exists. For those that don't know, I have a number of advanced research degrees in several fields of endeavour, which give me expert status, Michael. Those being the physiology of rest and exercise, human nutrition, cardiovascular pathophysiology, and I also have a pretty decent qualification in pure and applied statistical inference and research design. Okay, so I do have some background. Not that that means shit these days, because, you know, basically PhDs are every child wins a prize these days. I mean, for goodness sake, have you seen the Michael Israel saga lately? For a start, apparently Americans can get a PhD by doing a dissertation and some coursework. Well, that's not a PhD. For a start, even if it's a good dissertation, because a PhD purports to be a 3 to 5 year full-time program of research engagement whereupon the candidate is expected to produce work of high standard and, in fact, high novelty. Okay? Not a short dissertation with more than 200 spelling, grammatical, cut and paste errors and data sets that are impossible. Okay? Anyway, that's for another day. Let's hear more from Michael about his opinions.
That's interesting. More importantly, Krause's research also found that...
So begging the question fallacy that everything RFK Jr. has to say about saturated fat is based on the words of this one researcher. So now we can focus in on that and what that researcher has to say, according to you, Michael Weiner. What's that got to do with the price of fish in China in 1965? Or any fucking thing else? Buffoon.
people tend to replace the fat with all that processed garbage and end up eating loads of sugar, which actually increases their risk for...
Again, same argument. No, there is no evidence whatsoever that we can point to risk as that relates to any aspect of nutrition in human beings for heart health outcomes over any period of time, Michael. Still. There are still no experiments. There's a pretty good mechanistic speculation around sugar and its deleterious likely effects. Absolutely. The same is not true for saturated fat. Please give me the mechanism by which you believe saturated fat to be problematic in any way, shape or form, Michael. Shall we wait for that? Of course, you'll need to come and face me face to face to give me that justification, whereupon, Michael, I will tear you 7 new assholes because there is no justification for that ridiculous theological standpoint. No mechanism exists. No potential mechanism exists. If it were a problematic nutrient of concern, we would see a meaningful correlation with health outcomes of a negative kind. We don't. There is no cause and effect evidence. We're done. You cannot win this argument, at least not with science.
Heart disease, but this is where it becomes very complicated.
Oh, it's very complicated. So we dummies, we great unwashed who are stupider than Michael apparently, couldn't possibly have any hope of understanding it. So all you need to do is say, Appeal to authority, appeal to consensus fallacy. This is very interesting, but it's very complicated. Oh, okay. Well, we have no hope then, Michael. When is Dr. Sarah Pugh going to join the discussion? She's welcome any time. We love us some Sarah Pugh up in here. Sarah's a good friend of mine. And she's also very welcome here in the independent sovereign nation of Pimbatia, which is surrounded, for those that don't know, by the communist state of New Zealandistan. But we'd love us some Sarah up in this conversation. She'd be on our side because she's good value. Well, hello from Florida. Yes, good. Hello, Florida. Good to have you in the house. Yay, round two. Well, I don't know. I'm just cashing in on it because it's topical and people are interested in sending me emails about it. So, have you seen this? Well, no, I haven't, but I'm seeing it now for the first time. I cannot win versus me. I think we've highlighted that question already. Yes, I can. Yep. Yes, I'm well, thank you. Thank you for the question. I am well. Field Marshal DC of the Meat Militia. Ted tells me that you are still AWOL. Field Marshal, you are AWOL. Where are you? There's work to do here in Pimbatia. I have to twiddle the knobs all by myself. Yes, well, you go and twiddle the knobs, Ted. There's a good boy. Good boy. Right. Yes, there's always more bullshit, isn't it? Yes, good morning, Dave. Good to see you. Hello, Midnight Vince. Bev, good to see you. Yep. Corey's in the house. Very good. Carnivore diet is very bad for humans. No, it isn't. False. Complete nonsense. There is absolutely no way you can support that claim with anything even remotely akin to science. Sorry about that. No, wrong. Meat will not kill you. False. Very dangerous food. No. Once again, false. Absolutely no evidence exists in support of those claims. Sorry about that. Greetings from Bolivia. Nice. We got all sorts of people in the house. Savage, you mean Wiener? Wiener used to be a political radio host. No clue when he went to the health space. He didn't. He's got a PhD in some aspect of natural therapies, and it's got the word nutrition in it, but I'd be very interested to read his probably dissertation for his PhD, just to see how low quality it probably is. That'd be fine. How can I catch you going live? Keep an eye on your YouTubes, basically, because I don't have a set schedule at the moment. Things are a bit up in the air. I'm still recovering from 2 biblical floods here on the farm property known as the independent sovereign nation of Pimbatia. And so we have to be a bit reactive rather than quite as planned as we have been previously. But we'll get back to being planned and doing pre-recorded videos with editing and stuff at some point. In the meantime, you'll just have to cope. And if you do miss a live, you can always watch it as a pre-recorded video later. Anyways, there we go. A wiener-based diet. Yes, a wiener-based diet is not a proper human diet. Correct. Yep. I'm so glad Dr. Kiltz's assistant set up a live with you and Dr. Kiltz on Friday. Yes, me too. I'm looking forward to having a chat with Rob. By the way, it won't be angry professor chat. It won't be the whole. I'm coming from a place of love with Rob Kiltz. I want to help him because he's gone off the rails, and I want to try and bring him back if I possibly can. So there it is. Anyway, let's make some more progress and hear more of Michael's absolute pustulous nonsense.
Like most experts.
Right, well, again, we've covered that. Experts. We're interested in empirical data sets, Michael.
In the field of nutrition. Okay.
Well, who's to determine who an expert in nutrition is? What is one's qualification that's required to be an expert in nutrition, Michael? Do they have to agree with you? Is that what makes them an expert?
Okay. Like most, I got to find where I am at. I wrote this morning.
Welcome to Amateur Hour.
But this is where it gets complicated.
Ah, yes, it's complicated. Remember? So complicated that your brain fog means you've forgotten your lines. Okay.
Like most experts in his field, Dr. Krauss does not think RFK Jr. or anyone should be recommending people eat more saturated fat.
According to whom, Michael? On the basis of what? Number one, we're still using the begging the question fallacy that RFK is basing his entire position on the words of this one individual, which I'm quite sure he's not. So your whole premise is fatally flawed from the outset. But ignoring that for a moment, you're now suggesting that he said that. Did he? I don't know if he did or not. Where's that quote come from? Why wouldn't or why shouldn't someone suggest to someone else that a diet high in saturated fat is not likely to be a problem? Because that's what the inference is, Michael, if you actually understand the science, the epistemology of science, the strengths and weaknesses of science, its limitations, what it can and can't establish, and what has and has not been established as that relates to hard human health outcomes over any period of time. Saturated fat is in the clear in that regard. There is no inference that is remotely acceptable whatsoever that saturated fat causes any problem for human beings over any period of time. None. Zero. Still. Sorry about that. Not sorry.
That's the main point.
Now, the main point, Michael, is that you have an opinion that you want to espouse mindlessly without reference to actual good scientific rigor, discipline, without any understanding of what the hell it is you're talking about, basically because you have a very, very serious ego problem. You need to pull your head in, son.
Fact is, there are...
Funny calling a man that's 30 years older than you son, but basically you get all the respect that you're entitled to from me, Michael. In the case of you, it's none. None at all.
Are mountains of evidence.
No, there are not mountains of evidence. No, false. Before you even finish the sentence. No, there are not mountains of evidence of anything as regards human health outcomes, as that relates to any aspect of nutrition. No, there isn't.
That meat, especially processed red meat, is associated with a higher risk.
No, risk is a cause and effect statement. There are no studies that can establish cause nor effect. Neither is there even a meaningful association, Michael, still. A competent statistician can point to that for you. Luckily, I am one, and I'll do that happily face-to-face if you'd actually grow a set and come and debate me face-to-face on this, because you are in error in terms of your entire interpretation of this. Your entire interpretation of this entire area paints you out as a loon. Sorry about that, not sorry.
For heart disease. So whether or not eating too much red meat is bad because it contains saturated fat or not is kind of missing the point.
No, what's missing the point, Michael, is that there are still no evidences extant anywhere on this planet of any deleterious heart health outcome in human beings over any period of time as that relates to any aspect of nutritional procedure. None. Not a jot. Zip. Fuck all. Still.
Most people have no idea that the best way to make money on Amazon isn't with physical products.
Right, good.
So if all of these scientists, experts in their field...
Again, appeal to consensus, appeal to authority, fallacies. No, Michael, give us some empirical data sets. If you want to suggest saturated fat is problematic in any way, shape or form, you provide the evidence. Shall we wait? It won't be forthcoming, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, and super intelligent teddy bears. Thank you. You're welcome, Ted. Go and twiddle the knobs. Because it does not exist. Still.
That recommending people eat more saturated fat is a bad idea.
No, it isn't. That's your opinion, Michael. Remember what we said about opinions earlier?
Then why is RFK Jr., someone with no medical experience...
Well, why are you talking about nutrition? Because it's absolutely clear, Michael, that you have absolutely no fucking idea about nutrition, physiology, the conduct of science in any way, shape or form, its epistemology, the disciplines required for you to make cause and effect inferences or statements outright, like you did yesterday. Remember yesterday in the video where Michael Weiner here said, if you don't eat fibre, you will get bum cancer. Period. He also said, if you eat red meat, you will get bum cancer, and if you eat too much protein, you will get kidney disease. Period. Fact. That's what he said. Without a hint of irony. Okay, well, you're done, Michael. You're an imbecile. You're a complete buffoon. You've got absolutely no business whatever professing in this area to a public audience, an unsuspecting, unwashed public who for some reason might pay attention to what you have to say because you've got the letters PhD after your name. Nobody with more than 3 brain cells will listen to anything you have to say on this topic, though, Michael, because you are completely destitute of comprehension of this field. You are so badly out of your depth, it's laughable, that you're flailing around, splashing about, and drowning in this. And as a lifesaver, I'm quite prepared to throw you several bricks. Okay?
Or scientific experience. Why is he doing it anyway?
Well, because he's correct. And even if he wasn't correct, the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America, Michael Weiner. Okay, we're done with that. So this is why I say you sound like a left-wing loon. Left-wing loons want to control what people have to say, not conservatives. All right?
Has anything like this ever happened before?
Yes, many times.
Why is it happening now?
Well, because he's a gentleman that has a certain belief structure for whatever reason, and he's espousing that opinion. He's also been placed in a position of responsibility by his commander-in-chief. Good luck to him. Sorry you didn't get the job, Michael. Not sorry.
It seems to be that it is dangerous and misleading.
Well, that's your opinion, and it's false because it's not dangerous nor misleading to suggest to a person that saturated fat consumption is innocuous, because there is no evidence to the contrary. None at all still.
Go out and tell everyone to go ahead and eat foods with more saturated fat. This kind of twisted thinking on saturated...
Well, twisted thinking, Michael, is what you're exhibiting, basically. This is projection from you. You're an imbecile. You're a high IQ imbecile. They're the worst kind, actually. Straight-out imbeciles are less dangerous to society than you are. You are a danger to shipping, matey potato. The sooner you're scuppered, the better.
Fat and red meat suddenly being completely harmless.
Well, show me that it's not. Shall we wait? Michael would fill that space there with appeal to consensus, appeal to authority fallacies, personal incredulity fallacy, and begging the question fallacy, at least, as he has done repeatedly already in the very small amount of his material I've watched on this topic. What he will not do is provide any empirical evidence to support the claim, because, just let me remind you once again, because I know you're all stupid, not, it doesn't fucking exist. Still.
Is already giving rise to something that I think is quite dangerous.
Well, again, that's your opinion. It's vacuous. It's mindless. You have no business having an opinion that you espouse publicly on this, really. You're entitled to say it, obviously, First Amendment and all of that. It doesn't mean it's correct or that anyone should take you seriously or pay any respect to you whatsoever. Because, well, everybody gets the exact degree of respect that they're entitled to, from me anyway. Yesterday he said 18 ounces of meat a week was a lot of meat. Today he says it's not that much. Okay, yep, so he doesn't even listen to himself. Well, frankly, if I was Michael Weiner, I wouldn't listen to Michael Weiner either. It would drive me up the fucking wall, frankly. Yeah. No, Roberto, that's false. Completely false. There is no evidence to support that claim anywhere extant in the literature. Wrong. Mistake. Savage used to have a nationally syndicated radio talk show, so Newsmax is trying to leverage that waning notoriety. Okay. Are we referring back to opinions there again? Yeah, good. Yeah. Okie dokie. Why does Newsmax put this guy on? That was the question that was being answered. But yeah, okay. Righto. Good. Very good. Right. Carry on, Michael.
The carnivore diet. I want to repeat again. The expert...
So everything you're going to say from this point forward is worth absolutely dick, zero, and fuck all. Who gives a fuck about anybody's opinion, Michael? Most of all yours. Let's have some empirical data sets, still.
Who RFK Jr. is relying upon...
According to you...
Ronald Krauss.
Again, you've said that. Can you establish that with anything? RFK has never listened to anybody else except Ronald Krauss, never read anybody else's work except Ronald Krauss, has made a public statement that he's basing his opinion entirely on the views of Ronald Krauss. Has he said that, Michael? Or is that what you're saying?
A professor of pediatrics
You've already said that too.
medicine at UCSF.
I know I repeat myself also, boys and girls, and that's slight projection on my part, but the reason I repeat myself is because these imbeciles, like Michael Weiner here, always repeat the same error again and again and again and again and again in their videos. So I have to correct it every time. It's kind of a pathological problem I have. Let's acknowledge some landmarks. There have been 5 Professor K Nutrition and Health Science memberships gifted. Thank you very much. That's very, what's the word? Generous is the word I'm after. That's what happens when you don't bother to get dressed. Your brain doesn't switch on. You don't have any words. What else? There was a super chat action going on down here. There we go, some super chats. $5. Yes, we know. We got it. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for the $5. Appreciate that very much. Ted will use that for nefarious purpose, I'm sure. Oh my God, this is a Harry Sopanos type. That's how far behind I am on the comments thing. Love you, Harry. Nothing you can do about it. $10 from Oakdown Girl. Thank you very much. These plant-based ghouls are terrified of the carnivore way of eating because they can't cope with the idea that they might have been wrong for decades. Yep. I'm not sure that Michael Weiner is plant-based entirely. I think he's quite keen on the seafood, I've heard. But nonetheless, his ridiculous, mindless rampage here against the carnivore diet, which is based in anything but actual empirical science, is the whole point of this series of videos about this particular buffoon and his particular ego problem and his basic incompetence to profess on this field publicly whatsoever. So there it is. Thank you very much for the $10 squids. Love it. This imbecile is a rhino suffering TDS. Oh yeah, okay. Yes. A leopard can't change their spots. I once thought that, but I did sort of ask somebody once, can a leopard change their spots? And I was told, well, perhaps they get a bit older and the spots get larger and they turn into a cougar. But I'm here all week. Thank you. Right, you're late. Goodness, report to Ted after class. Yes, report to me after class. Down the back. Right by that bucket of soapy frogs. Right, you go and twiddle the knobs, Ted. Thank you very much for your input. It's very worthwhile as usual. Just about as worthwhile as anything Michael has to say, really. Only at least Ted is amusing. Michael is just offensive.
Who has researched saturated fats extensively.
You've said that, remember?
He himself.
He still hasn't, though.
Does not think RFK Jr. or anyone should be recommending people eat more saturated fat.
How do you know that, Michael? Where's that quote come from? That's just a repeat of your earlier point, which you didn't support then and you still haven't supported now.
You need to understand that. This is not.
I understand quite a bit about saturated fat and human metabolism and human nutritional needs and science and statistical inference and stuff, Michael. Quite a bit. You need to pull your head in and get your fucking ego under control is what needs to happen, actually.
Never happened before. It's dangerous and it's misleading.
That is your opinion and it's false. It's vacuous. It's destitute of comprehension of, well, anything, really. And it's misanthropic in the extreme for you to espouse that opinion, actually.
I've studied and written a lot of books on health, diet.
But no, you haven't, Michael. Studied. Clearly. Because anyone that was educated and well-studied wouldn't actually come at an argument with this destitution of substance. All you've got is an opinion. Nothing else. A strongly held opinion, perhaps, but nonetheless an erroneous, vacuous opinion, which is basically divorced from objective reality. Probably hanging entirely on your ego problem.
Nutrition, immunology, homeopathy, herbal medicine, etc., for 40 years. And the
So how is it that you know so little about science then? How is it that your argument is so piss weak? How is it that you can come online and espouse nothing but a mindless fucking opinion from a proposed platform of authority, Michael? How does that work?
science tells us that too much red meat is bad for you.
No, it doesn't, Michael. False. You've just absolutely, completely placed your exact true level of scientific competence there right for everyone. You've just laid it bare for all of us to see. Michael, no, science does not. It does not do any such thing. False. Wrong.
Especially if you're following this crazy pure carnivore diet.
No, science doesn't show that either. You absolute ignoramus, you offensive cunt. No, it doesn't.
And you're not eating fiber or fruits and vegetables.
The exact requirement for fiber, fruits, and vegetables in the human diet is not 1 single gram ever per day. Any day. None. Zero. Fuck all.
Now notice, please pay attention.
Yes, I've been paying attention for quite some time in this field of endeavour. Clearly you haven't, Michael.
I said don't eat too much red meat.
All right, well, how much is too much? On the basis of what? According to whom? Other than your rancid fucking vacuous opinion, you mindless cunt.
I am not telling you to stop eating red meat.
Well, you're in no position to tell anybody to do anything.
The current guidance on diet says to limit the consumption of red meat to 18.
So appeal to consensus fallacy, authority fallacy again. Who cares? What is espoused as the suggestion from some self-claimed authority with even less science behind it than you've got, Michael? Who cares? This is of no interest to anybody that has a brain and can think for themselves.
ounces a week. That's very little. But I want to say something right here. Any diet that ignores accumulation of plaque via raised LDL...
No. There you go, begging the question fallacy. You've just made a cause and effect claim that's saying that LDL causes plaque to increase. No, it fucking doesn't. No. One of us, Michael, among other things, is a cardiovascular pathophysiologist. One of us is, Michael, and it's not you. Okay, so there's my appeal to authority, but it's not a fallacy in this case because I'm actually quite expert in that field. And any time you want to debate cardiovascular pathophysiology, atherosclerosis, etiology with me, again face-to-face, whereupon I will tear you 7 or 8 new assholes because you have nothing but a vacuous opinion behind you, as I've said. Nothing whatever.
/ApoB.
Same deal with ApoB. Neither does LDL, nor any of the lipoproteins, nor any subfraction of the lipoprotein carriers, or the specific proteins that identify them as per the classes. None of those things are causal in atherosclerosis development, Michael. None of them are. Okay, so you're chasing a red herring there, and you are now espousing a begging the question fallacy, appeal to consensus, appeal to authority fallacy, a bought and paid for consensus, by the way. What you're not doing is outlining any understanding of actual objective empirical science, because actual objective empirical science does not support your posit around the cause of atherosclerosis. I'm sorry, not sorry.
Is ill-advised.
No, that's your opinion again.
High saturated fat-centric diets will lead to accumulation of plaque.
No, again, a statement of cause and effect, a definitive statement of cause and effect, which is absolutely false. 180 degrees out of phase with objective reality, just dripping with Dunning-Kruger syndrome from this absolute buffoon, Michael Weiner. No, Michael, false.
In your arteries.
Wrong, false.
On your arteries.
No, wrong, false.
First, it will be soft plaque.
Well, fine, but that's got nothing to do with you understanding what the cause of it is. Because you don't clearly. You've just falsely identified a causal agent which fucking isn't one. Demonstrably, clearly, and unequivocally. And as I say, I'm quite happy to debate that with you face to face, Michael, any day of the week or twice on Sundays, to absolutely decimate your ridiculous theological standpoint on that, using actual science, common sense, deterministic modelling, empirical evidences, an actual scientific discussion with an actual scientist, Michael. How would that be? I'm picking that you don't have the testicular fortitude for that, knowing full well, I think, if you actually do have more than 3 functioning brain cells still, that I absolutely will rip you to shreds without breaking a sweat.
And then end-stage calcified plaque, which a CAC, a coronary artery calcium, it's a type of heart scan,
Yes.
picks up a bit too late. So, folks,
According to whom, on the basis of what?
keep your LDL under 100.
No, don't do anything even remotely similar to that. That's a bad idea. That is contraindicated, if anything.
Lower if you have risk factors.
What are those, Michael? Because again, risk is a cause and effect statement or inference. It requires empirical support. Does it enjoy any? No, it doesn't. We're done with that. Risk factors are a buzz term. They are a theological buzz term. They are not based in science. Sorry about that. Not sorry.
Significantly lower if you have multi-risk factors.
No. Absolutely false. Don't do any such thing. No.
A carnivore diet simply will not do this.
Well, good, because you don't want to do that. That's a bad idea. Contraindicated. Yep. His name's Wiener. And yes, he is an absolute imbecile. You don't sense any dementia. He's always been bombastic and imperious know-it-all. Yeah, that doesn't mean he isn't a fucking imbecile. He absolutely is a fucking imbecile. I don't think he is lying. I think he genuinely believes the nonsense he's saying. I think he would be genuinely shocked at just how badly decimated he will be should he ever decide to front me for a debate about cardiovascular pathophysiology. Because I will absolutely rip this clown to shreds without any effort whatsoever. This is a clown who has nothing but fallacy espousal as his toolkit. He's just an offensive turd, basically. Yes. And yes, that is vastly too low. Yeah. Is there some graph that says there is more risk the closer to LCL 100 you get? What the hell are you talking about? You mean LDL? I have no idea what you're asking there. Please try again with English, if you don't mind. Love you. There's nothing you can do about it. And graphs don't tell you anything. That's not how empirical science is litigated, actually. A graph is just, well, it's a graphical representation of a data set. And graphs themselves can be misleading, and often are. You need to be competent to actually yourself analyze a data set empirically, which also needs to be coloured by an understanding of the required standards of discipline in the epistemology of the science that's being undertaken in order to determine the veracity of any given data set. And a graph doesn't do that. Sorry. Not sorry. Banned in Britain a few years ago. What, for being too right-wing? Even though he sounds like a left-wing loon. Yeah, okay. Yes. All right, let's make some more progress.
Are you coming towards the end of your career?
Nope.
And you're starting to worry that you've run out of time to get to the life that you always imagined?
Nope. Be a farmer, they said. It'll be great. Fuck me. Who suggested that to me? You're not on my Christmas card list. No, it's great. It's good. It's had its challenges, significant challenges, both practical and financial. But, whatever. We all have our crosses to bear.
I want to add at this point that lobbying
Yep.
on the U.S. dietary guidelines, we've all read since we're kids in school, we've heard about the U.S. dietary guidelines.
Yeah, but so what? They're vacuous, destitute, devoid of objective reality engagement, and underpinned by the almighty greenback. Nothing to do with science or health or looking after the best interests of anybody.
Well, they were all created by industry interests.
Yeah. We agree on something, Michael. Incredible.
Very important that you know that. There's been a great deal of money at stake in what these guidelines say.
Yes, okay. There is a graph that shows the likelihood of... No, there isn't. No, there is no graph that shows the likelihood of anything as relates to hard health outcomes in any given individual over any period of time. No. Likelihood is the same thing as risk. It's a cause and effect inference. You cannot determine your risk of anything by looking at a graph of what happened in a bunch of other people. Sorry, not sorry. Love you, but no. Okay? We have to be consistent with applying the same standards to material that may purport to be used to support our side of the argument. We must be more disciplined. We must not do that. Okay? We must remain unassailable.
And you can't remove political influence from the process. It's wishful thinking. So you had the...
Well, you could actually, by passing a bill which states that central government, state government, any aspect of government has no business whatever making any statement whatsoever publicly about what people should or should not eat. None at all. It should remain silent on that topic. That is not a core responsibility of central government. Okay, I'm giving myself away. I'm a libertarian, always have been. Minimise government, get the government out of our lives. They have no business in our lives in any way, shape or form except protecting us from foreign invaders rather than inviting them in. Okay? Protecting our property rights and personal safety rights against aggressors who would transgress against us, and making sure that we aren't transgressing against others in the same way, pretty much. Anyway, let's not oversimplify the world.
Dairy industry, the meat industry, the wheat industry, and vegetable industry, all lobbying for the 4 food groups, which was not in step with reality. Well,
oh, Jesus, seriously, Michael Wiener? Seriously, you want to tell us about being in step with reality? Based on everything I've heard you say in the last couple of days watching your ridiculous, pustulous, excremental crap? You are one of the most divorced from reality individuals I've come across in some time. As I've said, you are a high IQ imbecile. You're an idiot with an overinflated opinion of himself and a false theological standpoint regarding nutrition that you cannot support with anything remotely akin to science still.
Right now, we have one person, RFK Jr., basically becoming a super lobbyist, putting out his skewed U.S. dietary guidelines.
So that's your opinion, Michael Wiener. Again, your opinion based on your Trump derangement syndrome and your nose being out of joint because you didn't get the tap, I'm told. Why anyone would even consider you remotely qualified to do the job that RFK has quite rightly been given, I think. That's my opinion. That would be a dark day for the world and for the US if you were ever given a position of responsibility to profess on anything remotely akin to science, because it's quite clear you are incompetent as fuck. How's that? Sorry about that, not sorry.
Because he likes meat.
Well, he's a bad person then, clearly.
Simple. And
it's that simple. He likes meat, he's a bad person. Right, of course.
Cautioning you to be very careful, very, very careful.
Yes, I'm cautioning people to be very, very careful too. Be very, very careful about who it is you listen to, or to whom it is you listen, I should say. Who gets your attention? It shouldn't be this clown, except in watching my corrections of his ridiculous, nonsensical garbage.
Yes, too much animal fat or protein itself.
That's your opinion again. Still worth dick, because you know dick about fuck, Michael. You're an imbecile.
Will stress your kidneys.
No, false. There's no evidence to suggest that claim is correct anywhere in the literature either.
Too much protein of any kind will stress many other organs in your body.
Well, too much of anything will kill you, Michael, including oxygen and water. What's your point?
We are just not designed for it.
Rubbish. We are absolutely designed by both positive and negative selection pressures over a period of at least 4.5 million fucking years to eat a diet which is ostensibly almost nothing but the meat and fat of animals, Michael. Still, whether you like that or not, that is still a fact. That is still established unequivocally, slam dunk, by the stable nitrogen isotope testing undertaken from extracting collagen from the long bones of human skeletal remains found anywhere on this planet, any age over 11,000 years of age. And they all agree within 5%. They all say the same thing about what the human diet has, in fact, been. Still. So wrong again.
Plus, by not getting any fiber.
You don't need any fucking fiber. Still.
From plants.
You don't need fiber from plants. Still.
Or such.
Or such. Plants or such. What's the such?
Increasing your risk of...
No, there are no studies that inform on risk. Extant anywhere on the planet. There are a bunch of studies that purport to and use the word risk inappropriately. None of them have the capacity to inform on risk. They are all retrospective outcome data sets, which, by the way, Michael, are not even what actually was observed, what actually occurred. They are adjusted. Read fabricated. Because every single one of them will breach the first assumption of the multivariate regression that is used to make such adjustments. That being that the cofactors must not be collinear in any way. Jesus H. Christ.
colon cancer.
No, no, wrong, false. There is no evidence to support that claim. Extant anywhere, none.
Carnivore diets increase LDL and
Yes,
heart
so what?
disease risk.
No, not heart disease risk. No, that's false. Still, Michael. Still open to the debate with you anytime you like, any day you like, twice on Sundays. You'll still be wrong. I'll still tear you to bits. No.
A new animal study.
Well, fuck right off then. Who cares? I'm not an animal. Well, I am an animal. I'm a human being. Are you going to talk to us about a human study? No, you're not. So shut the fuck up, you mindless cunt.
Which you haven't heard about on Instagram.
How do you know what I've heard about on Instagram?
It's published in the Proceedings of the National Academies of Sciences.
So what?
Which is a very reputable publication.
So once again, with your opinion, does it have any ability to inform us on any aspect of human health? No, it doesn't. It's an animal study. You've just said that before you even start talking about it. So why bother? Jesus, is it genuinely possible that anyone could be this fucking stupid in reality?
And they...
Is this guy some kind of caricature? Is he doing some kind of act? Is he a troll of some kind? He can't be serious.
discerned or discovered that there's a sugar molecule found in red meat.
It's not fucking sugar. It's a sialic acid, you dumb cunt. And we've covered that yesterday. Is there a meaningful difference in any heart health outcome for any given living human being over a 100-year lifespan that is demonstrated anywhere in the literature for anyone that does consume more of what you're about to talk about, which is NEU 5GC, than someone who doesn't, being otherwise identical? No, there fucking isn't. No such evidence exists. There is no such problem. This is a theoretical, mechanistic speculation established in vitro, which is a form of reductionism. It cannot answer the question of what happens in free living human beings. And it's a fucking animal study. My word. He does need to shut the fuck up and blow away. What an absolute mindless cunt this boy is. Arrogant cunt. Wow.
as one mechanism which may be responsible.
See, maybe that leaves the other thing entirely on the table as well, doesn't it, Michael? Maybe not too. And as it turns out, when you look at the actual associations as observed, it doesn't pan out. We're done with this. What's next?
For this. The molecule has got a long name. I'll cut it short. It's
It isn't long. It's NEU5GC. That'll do.
called NEU5GC.
Yeah.
NEU.
Yes, we heard you the first time.
5GC. It's a sugar molecule.
No, it fucking isn't. Still. It's a sialic acid. Still.
For short. I'm glad you're eliminating unhealthy, highly processed carbohydrates such as cookies, cakes, pastries, candy, and sodas.
What the fuck has that got to do with NEU5GC? Not a damn thing.
I don't eat them. I haven't for years. I'm also glad you're not eating bologna and ham and processed meats with nitrates and sulfites. They're poison. But if you actually look at the so-called carnivore diet...
It's not so-called. It's what it is. Buffoon. Ridiculous buffoon.
They tell you to have black coffee.
No, they don't. Wrong, again.
Butter, eggs, fish, ghee, meat, poultry, sauces, or gravy.
A number of those are optional.
Made with meat drippings.
Again, there's no such instructions given.
Low lactose, dairy, and water.
Again, that's just your take on it. This is, saying the carnivore diet is the same thing as saying the Mediterranean diet. No such thing exists, Michael. This is a fantasy made up in your twisted, arrogant, Dunning-Kruger suffering brain.
You cannot have alcohol, fruits, no grains, no...
Oh my God, nobody's telling anybody what they can and cannot do. Except central government, and they can get fucked.
Legumes, no nuts, no seeds, no vegetables, no fiber, which is totally insane.
No, it isn't. That's your opinion, and it's vacuous. Destitute of comprehension of the human nutritional requirements, physiology, or any aspect related thereto. It's arrogant as fuck. It's just destitute. It's just completely divorced from objective reality.
Which is why you're going to get sick.
No, we're not going to get sick. No. We're no more likely to get sick, demonstrably, than any other population. In fact, as it seems, anecdotally, we're less likely. Almost as if we're eating a species-appropriate, species-specific diet.
With crazy demands, giving your business an online presence is easy. You can build your website.
In the long run. I don't care if you feel good after 3 months or 3 years on it. In the long run, you're going to kill yourself with it.
Wrong, false, vacuous, destitute, misanthropic, disinformation from an arrogant, ignorant cunt stain.
Which is one of the reasons we're seeing a new spike in colon cancer amongst the young.
No, it isn't. The reason we're seeing a spike in all sorts of aggressive turbo cancers in the young has nothing to do with diet. Nothing at all to do with diet. There's another cause for that.
Many of them are addicted to this carnivore diet.
No, they're not. Because you can't get addicted to a species-appropriate, species-specific diet. You can get addicted to sugar, though. Anyway, that's for another day.
No,
so this clown has absolutely nothing of any value to offer anybody whatsoever. This is a buffoon with an overinflated ego, a serious problem with his ego, actually, but not the first fucking clue of what he's talking about, professing to be an expert in the field. It's ridiculous, kids. Just like the people that were commenting earlier that this guy will destroy me. What fucking planet do you live on? Are you stoned? You must be.
Those are some of the things that you're going to hear today in my discussion of the carnivore diet.
Well, we're still waiting, Michael, for anything remotely approaching science. You know, you've been going for, nearly 10 minutes in your time. And he's been so wrong that it's taken me an hour to correct all your fallacies, falsehoods, etc. Are you going to get to any science? Because once again, let me just shortcut that process for you. It still doesn't exist. Okay?
But I want to go into some other stuff that you haven't heard about.
Okay. Well, I bet you I have.
About recent findings. I'm going to move some...
Oh, yes, recent findings. Let's hear about some recent findings. That'll be fun.
Things around here. Bear with me.
We are doing It's not an easy task. We all have our crosses to bear, as I said.
Recent findings on
You said that.
saturated fats, which are super important for all of us to listen to.
According to whom, on the basis of what? Super important is a value judgment statement, and it's one made by an absolute ignoramus. So why would we take it remotely seriously? Because it's quite clear that you're a mindless cunt.
You can disagree, you can agree, but in order to even understand this, you need to have an open mind.
You need to have a mind at all, Michael, to get a grasp on what the meaning of any of this research literature actually does and doesn't say. Sorry about that, not sorry.
To what science actually is.
Right, so now Michael's going to tell us all about what science is he? Can't wait for that.
Not every scientist is a crook. Not every scientist is a Fauci. Not every scientist is in the pockets of industry. Some people are in science to derive and arrive at the truth.
Right. And you're not one of those, Michael.
So I want to look at an article that I feel is very reputable.
Right, again, with your fucking opinion, which is worth absolutely dick, you mindless cunt.
In a short history of saturated fat, the making and unmaking of a scientific consensus.
All right, so an opinion piece paper. Very scientific, Michael. Could you not have made this a bit more difficult for me, for God's sake, son? You're absolutely fucking ridiculous from the ground up. You've got absolutely no fucking credibility at all, have you?
A short history of saturated fat, the making and unmaking of a...
Great anecdote. It's an awesome story. Perhaps there should have been more emphasis on the dragons and a decent end after 8 seasons, because that really wasn't good, was it? Let's all sit around and decide who's the king.
Scientific consensus.
Consensus fallacy. Good. Okay, well, fuck right off.
Which appeared in the, it's the gold standard, the National Library of Medicine.
But well, again, consensus fallacy, authority fallacy. Fuck right off. Show us some empirical, experimental fucking data. You want to tell us saturated fat is bad, okay? Meat is bad, okay? That's what you want to say. Back it up, Charlie Brown. Shall we wait? Clearly we do have to wait because you've still got fucking 2/3 of this video left. It's incredible.
NCBI, a library which produces some of the best literature in science. It's a database.
So another opinion, okay.
National Library of Medicine. I use it as a gold standard. When I want to read about something, I go to this database. So
right, well, that's not a great advertisement for it because you're a fucking imbecile.
This article, A Short History of Saturated Fat, the making and unmaking of a scientific...
You've already given us the title of the paper, buffhead. Can we just hear what your opinion on it is so that we can say, well, that's your opinion. Fuck off, you imbecile.
Consensus by Nina Teicholz is really brilliant. And I'm going to read it to you.
Nina, a recently qualified PhD whose background is actually in journalism. Good lady, nothing against her, but she's very inexperienced. And, you know, there's some tweaking that I would do personally in terms of her messaging and whatever, but that's just me.
Try to listen before you start commenting. It's important that you stop commenting. You're not in a class.
Yes, it's important that you don't comment, boys and girls, because you're not as smart as Michael Weiner here. You're the dummies, remember? He's here to tell you all about what science is without actually referring to any fucking science whatsoever.
Of imbeciles. Try to be an adult and listen before commenting.
Michael Weiner referring to others as an imbecile? Hilarious.
I'm going to read you what she wrote.
Well, please do. Any fucking time you're ready.
This article recounts the history of the diet heart hypothesis from the late 1950s up to the current day.
So what? This is Nina's take on the history. Who cares?
With revelations that have never before been published in the scientific literature. Insights include the role of authorities in launching the diet hypothesis, including a potential conflict of interest for the American Heart Association, important, a number of crucial details regarding studies considered influential to the hypothesis, irregularities in the scientific review.
Notice how it's being correctly referred to here finally by Michael Buffhead here, Michael Weiner, as a hypothesis. What's a hypothesis, Michael? A best guess theory. As it turns out, this is not a particularly good guess. The diet heart hypothesis. It's a pretty poor hypothesis. That's a pretty parsimonious description of it, of course. What we're really talking about is the lipid hypothesis, which is demonstrably, unequivocally false, in fact. Demonstrably, easily. Again, Michael, anytime you like, twice on Sundays. Let's go. Buffhead.
On saturated fats for both the 2015 and 2020 dietary guidelines for Americans. And possible conflict.
Once again, what business does the government have in putting together any such document whatsoever? None. Still.
Conflicts of interest on the relevant subcommittee reviewing saturated fats for the 2020 Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee.
Whoa, man, amazing car. When did you become a millionaire?
What is this for?
We're trying to get advice for the young.
This is very interesting.
The game with the opinions.
Information obtained via the Freedom of Information Act on emails from the 2015 process is published here for the first time. These findings are highly relevant to the 2025-2030 dietary guideline process now underway, which has plans for a new review on saturated fats. I want you to pay attention. Recent findings include shortcomings in the scientific review process on saturated fats for both the current 2020 and 2025 dietary guidelines for Americans and the previous edition, 2015 to 2020. Revelations include the fact that the 2015 Advisory Committee acknowledged in an email the lack of scientific justification for any specific numeric cap on these fats. Very important. Other previously unpublished findings include significant potential financial conflicts on the relevant 2020 guidelines subcommittee, including the participation of plant-based advocates, an expert who promotes a plant-based diet for religious reasons, experts who had received extensive funding from industries such as tree nuts and soy, whose products benefit from continued policy recommendations favoring polyunsaturated fats, and one expert who has spent more than 50 years of her career dedicated.
So another appeal to authority fallacy statement coming up. Who gives a fuck? We are interested in empirical data sets, Michael Weiner. Properly collected empirical data sets with the proper disciplines adhered to. Do you have any of those to talk to us about today? No? How about you keep your arrogant, ignorant fucking mouth shut then about this topic, because it's absolutely clear you know nothing less than dick about fuck regarding it. Okay? It's incredible. By which I mean completely lacking in any credibility, Michael Weiner.
Proving the diet heart hypothesis. It's brilliant. Now here's the summary. The idea that saturated fats cause heart disease, called the diet heart hypothesis, was introduced in the 1950s based on weak associational evidence. Subsequent clinical trials attempting to substantiate this hypothesis could never establish a causal link. However, these clinical trial data were largely ignored for decades until journalists brought them to light about a decade ago. Subsequent re-examinations of this evidence by nutrition experts have now been published in over 20 review papers, which have...
Experts again, so fuck right off. We're interested in data sets, not individual takes on data sets. Buffhead.
Largely concluded that saturated fats have no effect on cardiovascular disease.
Well, there is no detectable differential of a meaningful magnitude for any given living human being, not over a 100-year lifespan, according to 5 major so-called prospective cohorts where multi-million person years of follow-up were undertaken, at least by way of respondent data. completely irrelevant to actually prove anything whatsoever, but it did show a lack of the expected association, ergo brings the hypothesis further into question. As it turns out, the hypothesis does not stand even cursory refutation, frankly. We are done with this ridiculous nonsense. We were done with this decades ago, Michael Weiner. Why you haven't been able to catch up your fucking brain. I don't understand how you haven't been able to catch your brain up with this. Nonetheless, it's clear you haven't, because you're still espousing this ridiculous nonsense. It's farcical, it's laughable. You are the laughingstock of my entire followership, such that it is. Hopefully my burgeoning followership, who will understand, having listened to several hours of me talking about how your incompetence is rife, may well jump ship and come across and actually listen to what an actual scientist has to say. Maybe. I don't know. Or maybe you're all just offended because I said cunt. Whatever. That's your problem. Doesn't change any of the facts.
Cardiovascular mortality or total mortality. The current challenge is for this new consensus on saturated fats.
There isn't a consensus. And even if there was, so fucking what?
To be recognized by policymakers who in the United States have shown market resistance to the...
See, if there was any data to hang our hats on, Michael, we wouldn't need a consensus, would we? Of experts. Would we? Ergo, your entire edifice is built on a sandy foundation without the remotest robustitude of cornerstone. And you can't see that somehow. I don't understand how it is that you can't see that. Anyway.
Introduction of the new evidence.
New evidence. There's been no evidence supplied as regards human health outcomes as it relates to any aspect of nutrition still, ever. And there won't be, ever. Fuck me with the ads. Incredible, isn't it?
In the case of the 2020 dietary guidelines, experts have been found even to deny their own evidence. The global reevaluation of saturated fats that has occurred over the past decade implies that caps on these fats are not warranted and should no longer be part of national dietary guidelines.
Boom. That's pretty straightforward. We looked for a relationship that we expected to see. We did not see it. Ergo, suggesting to people that they put caps on how much saturated fat they eat on the basis of this hypothesis will not stand. Okay. Why can't you understand that, Michael? Get that your fucking thick head around that.
Conflicts of interest and long-standing biases stand in the way of updating dietary policy to reflect the current evidence. Now, that's what she wrote. There's a lot more to this.
But there really isn't, though, Michael. She's actually hit the nail on the head there. There's nothing else to say. But it seems you have much more to say.
And if you're worried about saturated fats raising serum cholesterol...
No, I'm not. Not remotely worried about that. Why would I be?
Meaning the diet heart hypothesis.
Right, well, the diet heart hypothesis, meaning the lipid hypothesis, is demonstrably unequivocally false, Michael, still.
Many of us have been raised on...
Well, it doesn't mean it's correct, does it? No.
Is a foundation of public health policy which is about to be thrown out the window by RFK Jr. Be very, very careful.
No, do no such thing. Follow common sense. Why can't you follow common sense, buffhead?
Because I have to go back to something I said to you right at the beginning.
Your opinion again. Okay, good. Let's hear your opinion again.
You're getting both sides of the story right now.
Are we?
RFK Jr. is not a scientist.
Neither are you, pal. You're not a scientist asshole, clearly, patently, obviously. The fact that you hold a PhD doesn't make you a scientist. It's really clear you're not one.
He is not a doctor.
Oh, well, neither are you.
He's basing the
Unless, of course, you refer to yourself as doctor because you have a PhD, which I think is a bit disingenuous myself. It's, as is the way of things, it's traditionally done. Okay, fine. No problem.
Guidelines on the research.
But you're not a competent person's asshole. You're a fucking imbecile, Michael.
Of Ronald Krauss, a professor.
Again, you've said this, remember? Brain fog much? You still haven't established that that's the basis of RFK's opinion. Did you ask him? No? Oh, okay.
Pediatrics and medicine at the University of California, San Francisco, who has researched saturated fats extensively.
Jesus Christ. We've never heard this before in this video already 3 times, haven't we?
And he found that saturated fats may be less harmful than previously thought.
Right, and maybe not too, and there is no evidence of harm at all. So how can they be less harmful than no evidence of harm? That's an interesting one for you.
What I'm saying to you. But listen very carefully now. Now, don't jump to the other side all of a sudden. Krauss himself does not think...
You've said this 3 times already. Where is this quote coming from? And even if it is a correct quote, who gives a fuck? Who cares? What does the science, what do the empirical data points tell us about this hypothesis, Michael?
RFK Jr. or anyone should be recommending that
Right, so Trump derangement syndrome, to add to your list of fallacies.
people eat more saturated fat. Did you hear what I just said to you?
Yeah, we did, and it was fucking stupid.
Changing dietary guidelines virtually overnight.
Well, they've needed changing for a long time. The actual change that, as I've said, I think that they should make to the dietary guidelines is the whole document ought to be deleted from public record. The government has no business whatsoever suggesting to citizens what it is they should eat and not eat. No business whatever. That is not their function at all. Still.
Especially by a director of Health and Human Services with no medical experience, lab experience.
Well, you clearly don't have any experience with the epistemology of science either, Michael. Clearly. Patently. Anyone that doubts me on that, just watch, well, this whole video again and the last video I made on him yesterday, where he points squarely to this fact himself. This is not a scientist's asshole, and in no position to comment on the competence of anybody else professing in the field whatsoever.
Scientific experience, no experimental experience, has never happened before. Why is this happening now?
Okay, well, I have all of those things in spades, Michael. Does that make my opinion credible in your opinion? Given that we know exactly what your opinion on things is worth, Michael, absolutely fucking dick. There's one for you. Okay, I have all of those things that you say that RFK doesn't have. I have them all in spades. Do you? Clearly not. Should you now kowtow to me? I think you should, because you're an imbecile as compared to me, but that's for another day.
Oh. This kind of twisted thinking on saturated fat
So
and
opinions, rancid, ridiculous, pustulous, vacuous opinions devoid of any objective reality engagement whatsoever, again, and repetition of the same material again. Same answer. No, Michael, you're an imbecile, still. Thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate that.
meat suddenly being completely harmless is already giving rise to something that I think is quite dangerous.
Again, with your opinion then, I will fuck off. Who cares?
That is the pure carnivore diet.
Well, who gives a fuck about your opinion about it?
Now, that basically concludes what I wanted to say to you.
Okay, good. It's halfway through your video. So you've just told us you've concluded what you wanted to say. And what you had to say, Michael, was absolutely nothing of any value for anybody. You gave us your stupid, ignorant, rancid fucking opinion, which you underpinned with absolutely nothing but fallacies. You tapped absolutely no science of any kind whatsoever. You established nothing except your incompetence, buffoonery, arrogance and Dunning-Kruger. You ought to shut the fuck up permanently. But before you shut the fuck up permanently, which, by the way, looks like it might not be too far away, what you should do is come and have a face-to-face discussion with me about your ideas about the lipid hypothesis, which are false, demonstrably, easily, without any problem whatsoever. Let's see if you've got the balls for that. Come and have a chat with me about that. Either on a neutral channel, if you prefer, or on my channel. I'm not coming on yours. I've seen how you behave on yours when you disagree with people. You'll be heard out, but what you say will be put to bed with ease, because you're a fucking imbecile. All right, everybody else, thank you for joining me. Thanks for your patience sitting through that absolute fucking garbage. I think we're done with this clown now. We'll move on to somebody else next who will probably be similarly wrong, but perhaps slightly less offensive than this cunt. Who knows? Anyway, let's sing the song and we can all get on with our day, shall we?
I have to derive
Steak and eggs and eggs and steak. Shut up, Michael.
But to go
That's
from
what you
being
should
afraid
have
of-
for breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. I think they got it, Ted. Yes, that's us waiting for Michael. Anyway, Ted, hit the button. Anytime you're ready, Ted.